Chapter 14. Fear a Woman. I think Ava was the happiest, for the chief uncle had lost. Besides, Aro always used Ella as an example to emulate. Now she had gone without warning. Ella and I were kindergarten sweethearts who played hide and seek until the world split us. 20 years later, I found her at the Uganda Museum with some young man, probably her boyfriend. She called my name loudly, Enzo, and embraced me with a hug. She introduced me to the boyfriend and exchanged contacts. We talked on the phone for about 2 years, then proposed to her. She did not waste my time like other girls did. Ella asked me to meet her parents, which I did. We gathered the little we had and paid a traditional visit to her auntie. This one demanded a formal ceremony when she requested us to commit ourselves on the date we were to visit her parents. I remember selling off my Toyota Wish at 18 million Uganda shillings, then chaired the meetings for 3 months as the announcements went in the churches. We invested around 100 million Uganda shillings in this introduction ceremony, and this woman requested me for the ring. The only thing I had to do was to sell off my plot of land and used the house as collateral to throw a wedding ceremony that cost me 70 million Uganda shillings. That is how I became broke, for I failed to pay off the loan and ended up in Aro's apartment and sharing his car. He believed in me and knew things would normalize with my wife. He liked and respected me so much. Anyway, that was his way. He treated everyone with dignity. Well, Ella and I stayed together as I toiled to pay off the debts. She was ever happy with me, a fine, nice woman I loved with all my heart. She woke up as early as possible and prepared breakfast, then escorted me for a shower. I was proud she was mine, for Ella never let me touch the sponge. The towel was already in place to wipe me dry. She would work on my buttons, then fit the socks with a smile. My wife faced no heel in putting my breakfast on the table and watch me take. There I would take pleasure in hugging as she escorted me to the car. She did this daily. There was no single day I went to the shop, for she did the shopping. I did not know much about fetching water, for I always found the cans full. She was a machine. The pretty one washed every cloth, ironed, cleaned my shoes, and made sure I never lacked. She deserved everything. I always yearned to go back home to find my rib awaiting me. She was at home in time to have supper prepared. By the time I arrived, evening tea welcomed me, escorts, as we jazzed about the day. She enjoyed my stories. Some were often political and not so pleasant to her, but listened. She complimented me. I always found 100 reasons to love her more than before. She was one in the million. We cracked jokes together, sang, danced, played, tickled each other every day, whenever we liked. The love between us had no restrictions. It was the best. True, I was ever rude to her, but this is what women want. Tough men who can back at them. When a man is lenient, he becomes a woman. I remember my boss crying before me that the woman whom he had bought a mansion had dumped him for a soldier, and I laughed at him. I told him that it was not about the type of a job one did, class or money. It was about how he used his brush to paint the walls of a woman's heart. Women went cheerful every day whenever the men were cheerful. best riders. That is what they wanted. I did not understand the way Aro was, but some women are abnormal. Ava was an icon of abnormality. Whatever I knew that made a woman happy never made Ava, but made Ella. With the time, my boss got a better woman who loved him to the fullest. Aro needed another one to see whether he had a problem. He still loved the arrogant banker. This woman never deserved to be with any man. Maybe she could make the best third wife or single mother. Anyway, I'm becoming so rude with Ava. I have to talk about my journey with Ella. We watched some movies, then entered the bed, waiting for me to finish viewing the news, then enter the arena of happiness. She was ever ready for me. She made me a superstar in bedding. Usually a man does it better when the woman is positive. Imagine Aro with his woman who made the bed hell on earth. There was no day Aro did not plead for divine water. I think this was the most painful part of his marriage with Ava. She had all the excuses to bar him from touching her. I know his heart bled every night. At first, Aro thought that Ava felt pain because she was not used to sleeping with men and gave her time. But when he got infections, he feared a little. He took some medication and gave her. I swear Aro never cheated and at the same time believed Ava was not cheating. Maybe she did, but the man did not care. Anyway, my brother was so soft. I know of one woman who turned him down years back. Her excuse looked vague but real. She claimed that Aro was so soft and perfect that she would not manage him. Even when she chucked him, Aro appreciated her decision. I wonder why he never walked away from this monster. Ava was a woman who glowed like a bitch whenever Aro touched her. It was a sign for him to back off, and if insisted, she shouted or left the bed until he knelt down and promised not to touch her. My brother was a fast learner. He tried to avoid touching her as much as possible, but this was his wife. He complained that men knew how to do housework but wanted women specifically for bedding, for they cannot get it from themselves. He was okay with her uncouth ways, but he solicited for the adjustment in the bed. The Aro I knew was a star in this game. He had won all trophies in his field. He would make a woman satisfied several times in a day without rest. This stallion would ride over 6 rounds in the game if the cheerleader was still in mood. I doubt whether he was still this hero after meeting Ava. He was ever following her rules. No, he was in fear. He never wanted to hurt her. He loved and respected his wife so much. I can't tell whether Ava loved Aro the same way. Anyway, the relationship lasted beyond my expectation. Many men live under this torture, but no one fights for their rights. Who fights for the rights of men, if I'm to ask? Mine was different. I would feel my wife from the start of the game to the final whistle. Every second with her counted. There I worked harder to make her happy. She would take all the money I used to make, but I liked it, for she too made me happy. This is how she manipulated me. Years passed. We had no tangible developments. She gathered every coin from me and constructed rentals in Wakiso. Time came when she complained about the amount of housework and requested for a house cleaner, which I turned down. She never argued. We lived together for weeks, then asked for 3 million Uganda shillings that I gave her in 10 days. We had minor misunderstandings and sorted them slowly. She started sending me on the shop, a thing she never did. I complained. One morning, I complained about eating one type of meal, yet I gave her money and she promised to change. Right, she did. Tears followed. Her telephone number was off.